Summer is the perfect time for this new appliance, but ice cream lovers will find it appealing year-round. This is the Ninja Swirl by Creami ice cream maker. Designed to make a lot more than basic ice cream though, it will also make frozen yogurt, fruit whip, soft serve, ice cream, and even dairy-free treats. So how does it work and what do the desserts taste like? I'm going to put the Swirl by Creami to the test here in my home. I'll also talk about what it's like to clean, which in machines like this can be a big downside. I would like to say thank you to Ninja for sending me a machine. While the company did gift it to me, it hasn't asked for and wasn't given the opportunity to have any input into this review, so these thoughts are all my own. Let's take a look at what you're getting. Inside the box, you'll find the machine, of course. There's also some strange looking components that might seem a bit daunting, but I'll explain how everything works coming up. You get a large outer bowl with what's called the swirl lid and the creamerizer paddle, but there's also what's known as the dispensing lid and swirl press, plus two 16-ounce pint containers called swirl pints with a weird star-shaped hole in the front. You also get a recipe book, which includes some easy recipes that I really suggest trying out first, mainly because they are designed to work really well in this machine. In this review, I'm going to mostly cover the soft serve features of the Ninja Swirl, and if you want to know in more detail about making more traditional scooped ice cream, check out my original Ninja Creami review. To sum up, there is a bit of a process to get your dessert, and it does take time to use the Swirl by Creami, and it might be a bit frustrating if you accidentally skip a step or two, or if you try to rush through it, especially the first few times. Let's get to how you work this machine. First things first, and that means mixing up some ice cream batter. Choose a recipe, and I'm starting with vanilla soft serve. The recipes are actually dead simple, with usually just a half dozen ingredients, and in this case, that's milk, cream, vanilla, and pudding powder mix. Whip it together in a bowl, or you can even whip it up in a blender like I did. Pour this mixture into what's called the swirl pint, and this is that container with the funny star-shaped nozzle. The first time you do this, it might not be an issue, but you'll definitely want to check that the base of your pint container is closed. The bottom actually swivels open and shut, so make sure before you pour any liquid inside that it is in the closed position. Then add the lid and set the container in your freezer, making sure it sits level so it will freeze evenly across the top. If it doesn't, it likely won't work in the machine. The mixture needs to freeze for a full 24 hours before you can use it, so you definitely want to plan accordingly. Then it is time to make that first pint. There are essentially two stages to making your frozen dessert. Stage 1 is whipping or lightening the mixture, and stage 2 is dispensing it. Once you have your frozen mixture, remove the storage lid and set the pint container into the outer bowl. You'll see there's only one way it fits in, and there is a notch for the nozzle. Next, you'll add the creamerizer paddle to the lid, which looks just like a blender blade. You'll need to open the locking mechanism, then situate the blade in to allow it to lock. Next, twist that lid onto the outer bowl until it locks into place. Now install the outer bowl into the motor base by pushing it straight in, then rotating it to the right and up until you hear a click. Since the next step involves the control panel, now's a good time for a quick rundown of the buttons and functions, just so you can better understand what the Ninja Swirl can do. There are two large buttons at the top representing the general type of ice cream you want to make, and that's either soft serve or scooped ice cream. Once your type is selected, you get to pick one of the 9 supported ice cream options. Lighter options, frozen yogurt, fruit whip, frozen custard, even milkshake, sorbet, and gelato. Fortunately, you don't have to worry about which option to choose because the included recipe book is going to tell you exactly which mode to use. Once you choose soft serve, the machine's going to get to work. This is perhaps the longest part of the process, and it can take several minutes. It is also going to be quite loud. In a nutshell, what's happening inside is that creamerizer or paddle is spinning down across the top of the mixture inside the bowl. It essentially drills down through the whole container, whipping and lightening the ice cream mixture so that it can be dispensed in the next step. You'll want to check the mixture afterwards to see if it's smooth and creamy. If not, you may have to use the respin function to let that creamerizer paddle have another go. If you're using the machine for scooped ice cream, this would be where you'd stop and simply scoop it out from the pint container. Once you've got that smooth mixture, you'll move into phase 2, and for this you need to swap lids and make some adjustments to your bowls. Open up the outer bowl and remove the swirl pint. You're going to need the two components that make up your second lid, and you'll align those two components together, then twist that lid onto the pint container. And yes, I'm giving you a look at this process from when I made another flavor of ice cream. Essentially, what you're creating here is a plunger press that's going to help extract the soft serve from the pint container. Then you'll twist the container into the dispensing side on the face of the machine. The dispenser has grooves and a blue indicator, so you can align it and just twist it to lock it into place. Now we are getting to the fun part. You'll need to twist the bottom of the pint container to the open mark, and this will allow the soft serve to flow through that star-shaped nozzle so that it looks professional once it flows out. Finally, turn on the machine and slowly pull the lever and wait a few seconds for the Ninja Swirl to start pressing through the pint and forcing the soft serve out the nozzle. I will say it's definitely an art to get a pretty swirl into your bowl or cone the first few times. Once you're done, just release the handle slowly and the flow will stop, and you can pull the handle again to extract some more. After testing this a few times, I'd say that depending on how much you're serving, each pint should be good for about 4 or 5 portions. I do want to pause here for a second to point out what some of you out there may be thinking. That yes, it seems like there are a lot of steps involved in making soft serve and other frozen desserts. It actually does take more time than you think to go through that 2-step process, and that's saying nothing of the 24 hours you need to freeze your pints ahead of time, so you definitely want to be prepared. I can say though that after you go through those steps and the process a couple of times, it becomes a lot clearer and easier and definitely much quicker to work through. Even so, you're going to need to wait the requisite 3 to 7 minutes for each pint to whip up in stage 1 first. One of the nice things about the Ninja Swirl is that you don't need to eat the entire pint of ice cream if you don't want to. Just press the retract button on the unit or turn it off, which will let you remove the rest of the pint. Then you can cap it and put it back in the freezer. The retract button may also come in handy if your mixture is too frozen and it won't adequately flow through the machine, and I'll get to more on this in just a sec. I've been working my way through the Ninja recipe book, trying a bunch of different things and seeing what I get. I stirred up a chocolate frozen yogurt with just a handful of ingredients. This recipe was super easy to make, and the end result was a nice, smooth, and tangy dessert. I had a lot of fun making fruit whip. There are some complications to making fruit whips that are not there with soft serve. Fruit whips mainly use canned fruit, and the pieces of frozen fruit can actually cause jams inside the machine, which happened to me. You'll get an error message on the machine and it will stop dispensing. My recommendation would be anytime you're trying to make a fruit whip, just definitely re-spin it before you go to extract it. The Ninja recipe for peach mango fruit whip was incredibly tasty, and it looked really beautiful too. I have to say I'm really impressed with the cleanup of this machine. Because everything comes off the machine, it's actually very easy to clean with just a quick wash in the sink. All the parts are dishwasher safe for the top rack too. Overall, I've really enjoyed the Swirl by Creami more than I thought I might. Let's go over both the pros and the cons of this machine so you can see if it might be right for you. On the pro side, the recipes Ninja gives you for use in this machine are all quite tasty and really easy to make. You can make multiple types of frozen dessert, from ice cream to gelato and even fruit whips. I love how easy to clean all the components are, and thanks to the clever design, the machine itself never really gets dirty. Once you get the hang of this machine, it is easy to use. What are the potential downsides? I'd say the 2-stage ice cream making process can be a bit complex, especially at first, and it does take time and patience to use the machine. It is also quite large and takes up a good-sized footprint, both on the counter and if you're trying to store it. The machine is also quite loud. I think as long as you understand what you're getting into and how the machine works, this is a great and fun appliance, and I can definitely recommend the Ninja Swirl by Creami for you. It sells for about $4.29 Canadian or $3.49 US, and you can get it from a variety of home appliance retailers, including Amazon. And if you want to keep it simple with basic ice cream, check out my full review of the original Ninja Creami, or see what competitor Cuisinart is up to in the ice cream space right now.